talk of the 2 days marathon of the Nocode Summits, and you may be all a bit tired. Thank you for being there. I really appreciate it. So I'll be talking about visual scripting. Maybe not all of you know what visual scripting is. So I'll do my talk in 3 parts. First part, I will talk a bit about what is visual scripting, why it exists at all. And then I will teach you a bit how to use visual scripting. And at the end, if I have a little time, I'll do a short demo of what you can do with Untitled. So this talk is titled "The Future of Nocode," because I think visual scripting might be the future of Nocode, should be the future of Nocode, will be the future of Nocode. Who knows? So I'll start with asking a simple question: what is the purpose of Nocode? Because visual scripting is kind of in the trend of Nocode, and I feel that this question is important. Building software is difficult. You probably heard that 1,000 times in the last 2 days. But is it really difficult to build software? Actually, there's a really simple recipe. Just need 2 things: 5% imagination and 95% sweating. Because an idea is worthless without execution. If anyone can say, well, I have this really cool idea, but kind of don't want to build that things, someone else should do it. But my idea is worth $1 billion. No one's gonna buy it. I mean, a lot of people have the same idea, and it's only to who will have the best execution of this idea that will succeed. So I have 2 very fun short stories. So this is an everyday story. Meet Morty. And his story takes place back 10 years ago in Station D, Station A. And he has this really cool idea, like imagine Slack, but in better. So he wants to build a product. The problem is that Morty doesn't know how to code. So he has a few solutions. Either he recruits some dev, and it usually costs quite good salaries. I mean, it's probably around 100K in France, but if he was in the United States, it would be much, much more. That's not a solution. He could use the web agency, but it's kind of the same price, and they will build his MVP in maybe a year. Not a good solution. So he needs to learn how to code, and he will eventually build his MVP in a year. Thing is, learning how to code and coding an MVP is really time consuming, and if you learn how to code in like maybe 1 or 2 months, your MVP is not gonna be that great. So basically, worst case scenario, it doesn't work, his MVP doesn't work, maybe who needs another Slack? And he wasted a year. And a year means something. I mean, during that year, he only focused on his product. Maybe the ecosystem has completely changed. He had to fund himself, so it's really not the best scenario for him. I mean, if you want to try an idea, you must commit 1 year to this idea only to test it. So here's the future 6 story. It's a bit weak. So this story takes place like 60 years from now in Station V. Station A doesn't exist anymore. And he has a really good idea. Like, imagine Slack, but in better. And so he wants to build the product, but he don't know how to code. So he literally just tell his computer, well, I had this cool idea, like do Slack, but in better. And the computer generates the actual product. So imagine that. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work because nobody wants another Slack. But he wasted only maybe a day. Like maybe 10 minutes building the product will take sending a few emails to check that nobody wants that. And you can test a lot of MVP really, really often, as often as you want. And it doesn't really require to commit a long time like Nocode. So I believe that this is the end goal of Nocode. The goal of Nocode is to ultimately remove the sweating part and only keep the imagination part. So you just need an idea to build the products, and then you don't care about building, actually coding that stuff. You just want to make it real to see if this works. Basically, turn your imagination into reality in Slack. And does this feel like science fiction to you? I mean, today there is a lot of artificial intelligence like DALL-E, where you type something and you get a really cool image. Don't you think that this could be reality? Well, yes, it's totally magic. That's not going to happen at all. You don't build complex projects with just really simple tool where you can just tell the computer what to do and it's supposed to guess what you want to do. I mean, even DALL-E, you can see a lot of cool images, but they are clearly sorted out. I mean, if you use the tool as a tool, you're going to have a bad time having something somewhat useful when you type something. So yeah, Nocode is no magic actually. Advanced tools to build complex projects can't be used easily. Like if you're gonna throw someone to use Webflow or Bubble without any kind of tutorial, they're gonna have a bad time. At the same time, easy to use tools can't build complex projects. I mean, surely someone can use Zapier without any kind of formation, but can you really do something really complex with Zapier? I mean, imagine building a video game with Zapier. I mean, maybe that's possible, but I think it's quite difficult. So the more you dump it out the tools, the less freedom it remains. And so there's kind of like a slider that you must put on how you dump it down the tools before you can't use it to build your actual product. And so are we going to build complex products with code? I mean, Emmanuel told a bit earlier, yesterday actually, that Nocode is not supposed to replace code. So there will always be a case where you need to code the thing. And well, I believe visual scripting can actually do anything that you can do with code, but without code. Introducing visual scripting, I mean, it's about time. I mean, I started 10 minutes ago and we still haven't talked about visual scripting. But hold your breath, here's code. Please don't leave yet. This will be short. So let's say we want to build a simple command. If we type something like /hello Rick and Morty, we want to print, everyone, please welcome the famous Rick and Morty. So what does it look like in code? It's a bit difficult to read if you didn't code, but we'll take it down line by line. So there's this line where you actually prompt the command, so /hello Rick and Morty, and you store it in response. And then you want to check if response starts with /hello. And then I want to get the Rick and Morty part. So there's a lot of way to do it. I use this way because it's kind of serve more purpose. But basically, I will split this text by space, then remove the first element, and then put it back again before displaying the message. So if you don't know how to code, clearly you're not gonna guess that you should code that to do this. And so here's this Nocode. There's like an event block where the command is /hello, and then there's a then block, and this then block should say hello with the kind of message. Super easy. Anyone could do that, but you can't really dive into it. I mean, what if you want to only take the first part of the command? What if the command is another form? Maybe the command should be at the end of the string. Who knows? And so here's visual scripting. And there's and visual scripting. You say it might look a bit like Nocode actually. That there's two blocks, get command and say hello, and it's kind of magic. But the thing is about visual scripting is that you can dive into this block. For example, if I double click on the get command node, this is the inside of the get command node. So you can see that there's a prompt, which is what we use in code. We have the documentation to know how it works. We have the start script, we have the if condition, and for the get arguments, it's still a bit magic. So I can double click on it, and then again, I get the split, I get the join we saw on the code. So we can really build basically anything in code, but in visual scripting. And let's try it right now. So I click play, I have the command to execute, so I say /hello submit. And I add the message, please welcome the famous Nocode summit. It doesn't mean anything, but anyway, it gets executed, and there's a lot of stuff that is happening. For example, if I hit Control space, I see what is executed. So the get command used to have the /hello and the command to execute, and in the output I got the Nocode summit. And if I double click on the command, I see that we prompt command to execute. Our response was /hello Nocode submit. Is this starting with /hello? It's true. So then I get the argument and continue the flow. Don't worry if you don't understand how it works, how the visual scripting works right now. We'll dive into it a bit later. So why visual scripting? Visual scripting has a lot of advantage. First, it's as powerful as code. I mean, everything you can do with code, every function available in code is available in visual scripting. Then it's easier to write than code because you don't have to write code. Only block. You don't have to guess what arguments you need to provide to a function. There's built-in documentation. It's easier to debug than code. So you can see that at each step I see what is the value of my variables, and it's easier to review than code because actually you can see a two-dimensional graph that you can zoom in and out, and it's far easier to read than a bunch of, a wall of text, for example. So, and it's already used in other industries. Visual scripting has been around since a lot of years in the video games development. The first one would be the Unreal Engine editors, which is a really big software to build super cool video games. For example, Fortnite. Fortnite is built 95% out of visual scripting, and it's super performant. It needs to be performant because their visual scripting compiles to C++, which is executed 1,000 times seconds for the video game to work. But there's a trade-off. The trade-off is that visual scripting is no magic. It's a complex tool. You need to learn how to use this, and there's always a kind of learning that you have to make. It requires a logical mind because you need to understand how your products work in the low level of logic. And it will require algorithmic knowledge. So algorithm can be quite. People are sometimes afraid about algorithmics. Algorithmics are actually used by every single one of you every day without you realizing it. But you need to have this kind of mind that if you want to build a feature, you should know how it works really at low level. Like if I want to have this command /hello, I need to see that I should split with space or see if it starts with a /hello, for example. You need to know how we work. So introducing Visual Luna Park, visual scripting for the web. So Luna Park implements the visual scripting, but for the web. What does this mean? This means that Luna Park has visual scripting. So obviously you just saw it. It compiles to JavaScript. So when you hit compiles, it actually generates JavaScript that you can run anywhere. And I have to give this example. Imagine you use Zapier to automate some task, and you need to execute that task like 1,000 times. And when I said 1,000 times, it's not 1,000 times a year, 1,000 times a month, 1,000 times a day. You need to execute that task 1,000 times a second. Imagine the Zapier build you get at the end of the month. With visual scripting, when you compile your code, you can run it anywhere you want, on any infrastructure you want, and it's going to cost you maybe a few dollars a month, and you can run it 1,000 times a second, any second. So for now, Luna Park generates standalone scripts. This means that you can generate scripts that will be injected into your website, built with Webflow, with Squarespace, anything you want, even Bubble, and add features to this website. And you can also build user scripts that will be injected in other people's sites to add new features. For example, if you want, let's say, to add a button in Notion share some things to Airtable, I don't know. But in the future, you'll be able to create complete apps because since you can build JavaScript, you can build anything with JavaScript, being web apps, mobile app, desktop app, anything you want. It's kind of like an IDE, which is a software used by developers to code, but you don't have to. So yeah, apps meaning a lot of things. So why shouldn't you use Lunapark? Lunapark is not for every project. I mean, if you're going to build a static landing page, go with Webflow. It's going to do the job absolutely great. For blogs, marketplace, I mean, things that has already a solution. For example, I don't know, WordPress, Miracle, PrestaShop. There's no need to build things with Lunapark. And with simple automation, I mean, Xavier already did that. Well, you should use Lunapark. You should use Lunapark for advanced use cases. If you want to scale your product, if you want to add new features that are really specific to your domain, you can build virtually anything, so you don't have any limitation. You're not going to ask yourself, can I do this with Lunapark? But rather, how to do it with Lunapark. So if you want to run static landing page, for example, add, I don't know, search engine to your Webflow, or add an analytics to your Wix pages. Create web extension tools. So like I said, inject new features into other sites, websites. I gave the example to a button in Notion, but I also could, for example, make something that highlights certain tweets on Twitter. Your imagination is your own limit. And you can also use business engineering interaction. For example, if you want your product guys or sales guys to update your business logic without going through a whole cycle of production with the engineer, they can build the things in Visual Scripting, and it will work right in production without any waiting time. And in the future, because Lunapark is, and I should hand this, Lunapark is in early access, is really early tool. So there's not everything available right now. But in the future, you will be able to create completely technical SaaS from scratch. You will be able to create complex internal tools. You will be able to create basically anything that is now possible to be created with code. So let's dive into Visual Scripting. Now that you get a little sense of what Visual Scripting is, let's go to Lunapark. So this is the landing page where you have a lot of small examples you can play with. And yeah, as I told earlier, Visual Scripting is a bit difficult to grasp at the end. At the first stage, you need to learn how to use it. So in Lunapark, we have something called Challenge, which is a series of small puzzles to learn how to use Visual Scripting. So I'll do some of them with you to get you grasp how it works in all of them. I just took out this effect because it should be better for the sake of the tool. So usually there's a little backstory and then a little tutorial to say what you should do. I will visit for you. So this is the logic editor, and you can move the grid, you can zoom in and out, you can select what is called a node, and you can select several nodes, of course, and you can select standard wires and execution thread. So the difference between those two is that execution thread is going to be what your logic follow. I mean, for example, this will execute our inputs at first, then we will follow the big white wires that will execute log, and then the output. For now, there's not much of a difference, but it will be one better later. And the fine wires represent values. So I can zoom in my solution, and I see that there's a little log going to the output. And yeah, we just connect the next level. So here, there's a if, and if execute the then when the condition is true, or the else if the condition is false. This condition is what's called a Boolean, so it's a value that can be either true or false. For example, here, we can submit our solution, and we can see that the little node doesn't come out of the if, because apparently we are not admin, and we want to get this access. So there's a few solutions to make this work. Either we can tie the helps to the access, and then it will execute the helps, so we get the outputs. But there's a lot of other solutions. For example, if I can just delete this wire and make this condition true, always true, and this will execute the them every time. So now let's talk about string manipulation and operation. So we get this string, one coffee, and we want to output one coffee, please, to be a bit less rude. So to create a node, it's very simple. You just have to right click, and you have a lot of nodes available. So we won't use we won't use a lot of them. For this one, we need to use the two lowercase nodes. And this node is actually a small JavaScript function that is available. And you can see how it works and a little example of what it will do. And so I just have to plug the order here and the output here. And we can see that it's applied, it made everything lowercase. But we want to add the please, so we will add a concat node. Please. And we have one coffee. So this is really simple for now, but you get the idea of how you create logics with these tools. And maybe I will stop at this one, but this is you're gonna learn a bit more at each challenge. So I'm going fairly quickly here, but people can take time to really understand how that works. So here I will be. I think I will skip this one because it's a bit math and I don't want to do it. So, yeah, I have to keep it to
ignore.
So on this one, you need to compute a score, and at the very beginning, you have this array. I mean, an array is composed of several elements, and you want for each element to perform an operation on this one. And you can expect it. So, like I said earlier, if I hit control space and I hover it, I see that there's two elements, which is composed of constant and JSTOR, then constant and JSTOR. And if I want to perform operation of each one of these elements in JavaScript, you do something you call for each. So you have a for each node, and it automatically detects that the type is an array of audiences and jury score, and so the output for each element is just an object with audiences and jury score. And so what I will do, so this example to compute the score is just to sum all of the products of the audiences and jury score. So I just spread that element, multiply this by this, and then add it to a score. So I get a score. I do it in a full string, should be a bit better. And I'll add this, and then set the score. And so I want to execute this for every item. So I will use this loop execution thread. And at the end of it, I want to output the final score. So I just have to do this. And so what you will see is that first it follows the for each, and for each element it's gonna fire the loop, and at the end you get the output. And if I'm good, yeah, okay, so I will be okay. I agree that I'm not ready. So what you can do also is if you keep building new blocks to your logic, it's gonna be very, very messy. So you can also create custom blocks. For example, in this one, you have to just see if your ticket code, which is something like that, the first character and the last character equals the weekday. I don't know why it's just for the sake of an example. And you can only create one node, but this operation can be done with one node. So you can create a function, and this function will take as an argument the code of the weekday, and at the output if it's valid or not. So I can add two inputs. One would be a string, one would be a number, and one would be boolean. So this is the code, this is the weekday, and if it's valid. And so what I just did is create an actual block. So I can actually create it here. I didn't rename it, so it should be a new function. You should name your function if you don't know that. And then yes, there's my block, and if I double click on it, I can write the logic of that block. So that block is fairly simple. I just take the code, take the first char. I use the add function. So there's a lot of functions. Those functions are generated from all the functions available in JavaScript. So this is also kind of a cost. I mean, you need to learn what nodes are available to you. At the same time, every documentation on the web on JavaScript is actually useful for you. And actually, even the little documentation here is generated based on the documentation of JavaScript. So you're really coding it, but there's absolutely no line of code. And so to get the last char, I use add with the next -1. And I can use control space to see that it's working as intended. But I want to convert this text to a number. So I can cast it to a number. And then I can perform my operation, which is a simple addition, and then I just want to compare it to the weekday. I mean, it's probably the most technical tool that you ever have this today, no? But for those who are not software engineer, you get the grasp of what is truly is to build an algorithm. So this should work. Yes. So I have the 2 + 1, which is equal to 3, which compares to the 3 of the weekday. Is it equal? Yes. So that is true. I think I can submit the solution. And yeah. So now we will use, we'll update the DOM. I mean, that's something that you should do in, that you may want to do in WebStorm, for example, in Webflow, where you want to add interactivity to your web page. In this example, what you want to do is that when I want to start spinning some things, I want that I want the wheels to start spinning, and when I hit stop, I want the wheels to stop spinning. And to make the wheel spinning, if I read this, basically I just need to add a class to these elements. So I'm talking a bit quickly about elements, class, and stuff like that. Those are concepts that comes from
the TV.
I don't know what touch
I think it's directly the TV.
And maybe it will shut down at what point? I don't know yet. We have it.
Usually it's 60 seconds.
Regarde derrière à gauche, là, voilà, là. Plutôt vers le haut, le problème,
Normalement, c'est n'importe quoi. Excusez-moi. Ouais. C'est une indication qu'on m'a donnée en. Je sais pas, n'importe quoi.
derrière à gauche, c'était derrière à gauche. Il y a un bouton, ça fait tourner.
Là, il y a un bouton, mais j'ai plus.
Ça c'était la seule indication qu'on m'a donnée. Mais le plus que vous
So I have this boilerplate code, and I just want to add an event to those buttons. So to select those buttons, there's an ID, start button and stop button. I mean, since it's becoming a bit technical, feel free to interrupt me at any point if I need to clarify things. And so here we have we add something called NAD event listener. And we want to select the elements with this ID. So we need to use something usage. Okay. It's not only hidden, it's not reflecting what's in the
C'est bon.
Non, c'est bon.
Ah, ok, ça marche.
C'est même ce qu'il y a sur mon ordi.
Ouais.
C'est bon, c'est
Ah.
devenu live.
Je vais prendre juste votre base.
Restarting is always the solution. So yeah, basically what I will do is create a node called query selector, which help me to select any kind of node elements in the page. And then I'll add something called an add event listener, which will trigger some kind of logics once you perform certain kind of action of this element. In this very example, I use a click event, but there's a lot of events like double click, select, scroll, input when you are dealing with an input element. And
It's okay.
so I mean, it's kind of difficult to show visual scripting without the visual, but yeah.
I'll take a question if you want.
Yeah.
I have this weird feeling that this whole visual scripting is a fantastic tool to actually learn algorithmics and especially JavaScript in this matter.
Yeah.
But my weird feeling is at the end, if I go through all the exercise and start to develop some great scripts with that, more complex, I will end up saying to myself, well, now I know all the logic, I understand it. Why can't I do directly JavaScript, which is less clicks, less manipulations, and
Okay.
in a way it will save me time and
Are you a software engineer?
yeah.
So
But I'm
a lot
working on local platform, so I'm convinced that the local is actually
there's a lot of software engineer that ask me if you actually save time with this, and truth is you do totally actually save time with this. I mean, at the very beginning you surely won't, and you will feel that you will be quicker at coding. The fact is, even software engineer at Epic Games, when they're building games, use visual scripting. And for people that don't have the feeling of this feeling of writing codes, it's a lot easier for them to have those kind of tools, and because they absolutely don't want to deal with any kind of codes whatsoever. I mean, I don't know if you heard about how do I say that, the administrative fear of some people. I mean, you just have to write something on documents. I mean, a lot of people have this, but for code. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
No, but I definitely see the power of it. It's very neat, actually. Great job here.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Actually, it's insane, and I was wondering if you would offer this tool. I don't know in school or in because. I mean, I would have loved to learn JavaScript with this.
Yeah, of
That's why I
course.
say it's a great.
Actually, Bubble cannot do it. They want to build this with schools, and I 100% that even if they don't use Lunapart, only the challenge part would be a really great learning
Super great.
material.
It's super great. I would have loved to learn JavaScript with this.
Yeah.
actually.
I mean, I'm kind of come from the video game field, so I know that you need to gamify things as much as possible to make people interested in these things. So yeah, 100%. I want to. If school use this, I would be super happy, even if they don't use Lunapart and here.
Super.
So just to finish this, instead I would use the query selectors, and then I use not even just enough. So I didn't talk about it, but when I create a wire like this, I only get suggestion of nodes that are compatible with it, and so it interconnects it. And when you search nodes, you don't have access to, for example, splits, because split is a function that will be applied on the string. So that can be less error. And at the same time, this is an element, this is a string, and I can't connect it. So you can't be wrong if you connect a wire to something else. And so I said that this will be toggle on a click. And this, so I have to toggle the class of the wheel. So I just have my selector, and the wheel is ID fairly string. So to select an ID, you should have it. Hashtag. I know it's English.
Hashtag.
Yeah, and before the bits, and to toggle the class, you get the class list of these elements, and it should be good. Yeah, but just to show you that I don't cheat, I use, for example, start button, and I select the start button. So this is kind of stupid, but you can do anything about, because it's executed on your browser. You can manipulate the website if you want.
Please rotate the body.
The body, actually, the spin class is is encapsulated in these
Yes.
elements. So this is outside. I don't know if you yeah, this should be good, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
super nice to end this weekend with this. Thank you.
And so I'll show you the last one, which is a bit more complex, where you use a remote API. So for this one, it's a bit more complex, but don't worry, it's not that difficult to understand. Basically, what we want to do is build some kind of search engine where I want to type a movie, and I want to get the elements here. So basically, this interface could be built in Webflow. You just have to put an input, and then some placeholder for title and description. And so how it works is just I will query selector these elements and get the HTML of these elements, and then store it in a variable so that I can reuse it later. Then I use a query selector for the inputs, and I add an event on each time I input something. So each time I type a letter, it will execute this event. And I add something called a debounce. So a debounce is something that will fire at most each 500 seconds. I mean, for example, if I type a word like with, I don't know, 10 letters, it won't trigger the event 10 times. It will wait for 500 milliseconds before triggering the event, so that I won't spam the API with a lot of requests. And so then I have to create the URL, and the URL looks like this. So basically, I have this ready, and I should happen search equal light. So there's a lot of ways to do this. I can use a string that I will concat, but we will use something called URL object in JavaScript, which you can manipulate much more easier. So I get these params, and I just want to set a new params, and the key would be search, and the value would be the value we entered on this input. And so we get, if I test and use control space, you see that the URL now looks like with a question mark search equal test. So then I have to make the API call to this URL. And thing is, I get something that I don't know what types of, what it will look like. So I have these cool features, auto discover type. Like, I just can click on it, and it will auto detect the type of the API. So everything is typed, and I can use all the features that are linked to this type. So I know that this is an object, an array of complex objects with title, chars, etc. And so for each of those elements, I want to display them. So I will spread these elements, and this is auto-completed with the types that has been auto-detected. And so I can just link the title to the title, and you know what? Instead of the plot, I do something. What can I do? Maybe we will do the year into a string, and then concat it with a dash, and then concat it with the title. Maybe it won't work at all. So if I type midnight, okay, I'm missing something.
How do you debug? Do you have visual debugging?
Yeah, so actually you have visual debugging.
Nice.
If you hit Control Space, you get those values.
Right.
And for example, here when I add the listener, I can see that this is the element that is being triggered. And so if I hit Control Space, okay, I see that there's an undefined things. Oh, I think I know. It's because the internet is not working. No. Okay, this is the kind of stunts you do when you perform a demo.
Like
Use
demo with
an element, create selector, append child. I don't know what's not working. Yeah, it's always the demo effects. No, it's okay. So actually, oh, I know.
What?
Okay, I'm in my local environment, and it's not the remote environment. Maybe I can do this very quickly. Sorry for this. 3 minutes? Oh. Okay, so it's much longer than I expected. You know what? I will just do a very quick demo of how we can inject scripts online. Sorry, I didn't watch it at the time. So I prepared the little things, but it's not really that prepared. So, okay. This is the editor of Luna Park where you can create anything you want. So you can have the manual play and then create an alert and some kind of message. And when it executes the script. But the cool thing is that if I use the unload node, the unload means that this will be executed at the very start of the script, and this can be injected anywhere. So I have this cool thing where I wanted to inject it an export all button on the Swapcars websites, where you will save every speakers to an Airtable table, but I won't have time for that. So what I'll show you is just injecting this alert on some kind of website. I don't know, like Twitter, for example. So to do that, I have to create something like called the user script. So there's a demo on YouTube when you have some boilerplate code. Yeah, it's using Gridmonkey, and I have this boilerplate code, but you just have to paste what website you want to inject it. So let's say Twitter, and the actual code. So to have this code, you have the link to your code here. If you build it and you take the direct link, you have the actual code generated. So you get the alert text here. And you can also activate the auto reload. That means that when you inject your script and you're in development mode, meaning you're logging to Luna Park, each time you will hit save, it will reload the target website, so you see those change in real time. Yeah, exactly. So I use this direct link. I'll show you right there. And if I hit F5, okay, I have the test here. And if I change this to hello and it's save, it doesn't work because I have the same. You know what? It's always the effects. But it's actually when I hit F5, it's actually injected. Something really quick. I don't know what I will do. Maybe color every tweet. For example, I don't know what this is, but I will take this class, for example. I mean, class on Twitter are really weird. I know what will do. You see what this will do, like price selector. What this price selector. This, and for what I will price selector all the elements. And for all of these elements, I will add some kind of style.
Rotation.
Rotation. I mean, rotation is a bit more complicated.
Yeah, I know.
So I will do that actually. Set background. Let's try that. What was I was looking for? Where is not enough? You know what? I cheated a bit. Some kind of cheater. I will cast this to anything I want, and this will be. This is quite question now. Don't do that yeah, that should be good. And I set the background to, let's say, red, for example.
I'm eager to see your implementation of TypeScript in Untitled.
It will. Oh no, it doesn't work because it's taking time to load this. Maybe if I can do something a bit more dirty, but with, I mean, who will judge? Yeah, there's a slip. And what we will do is a while true. So this will be executed each time every 500 milliseconds. And do that, which is something really dirty. Don't do that in real life. Great work. Yeah.
Nice.
So again, I mean, it's totally useless, but at least you get what you can do with an attack, like basically manipulate any kind of elements on the website. Thank you for being there.
Thank you so much.
And so for now, everything is free on an attack, so feel free to give a try, share the challenge to your friends, and join the database.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for that.
Yeah, thank you.